your day with a shot of rakia, then whatever was left in the shot glass, you use it to disinfect your hands. and this is not a joke. We really do this. If you're out of Windex, you can use it to clean windows as well. So, and my grandma, she was very funny. My grandma used to say that rakia saved her marriage. And I remember chatting with her. Her and Grandpa, they got along really, really well. And once I was chatting with her and I said, Grandma, come on, spill the beans. What's the secret? How come you and Grandpa get along so well? And she said, oh, honey, it's easy peasy. She said, you know how I start my day with a shot of rakia? And I said, yes. What does it have to do with it? And then she said, well, I add another shot to that. And suddenly Grandpa becomes way more bearable. So there you have it. You can try rakia as well if you want, but rakia is something that's typical not only in Montenegro but the countries in the region as well. They will have their own version, but just a heads up, when we have rakia, it's not the taste that we don't have it for the taste. People are after the effect. So it's very, very strong, very, very strong, but you can try rakia as well if you like. We're getting closer to the restaurant. There's even a zip line in this area that we'll see later. Okay, so we'll get off the bus here and then we'll go together down the stairs to the right. That's where we get our snacks.
This is the view of Montenegro. One of the top hills restaurant. We got our snacks here, and you can see the beauty of the mountains here. And these are the tourists here lining up. Daming tourista. And we eat here. Restaurant Nevrana. This is the place. So ito yung pinakamagandang view dito sa Montenegro. So we are the highest or the peak of the mountains here in Montenegro. Pero accessible pa siya sa bus. Daming turista yan. May 3 bus dito. Puno ng mga turista. So ito yung pinaka panoramic view ng Montenegro. Yan. So ito, may 2 bay pala dito. Kalimutan ko yung isang pangalan. Saka dito yung isang bay na dito tayo dumaong. Yan, isang bay yan dyan. Saka may isang bay pa rin dito sa kabila. Parang fjords na siya. Yan, makikita mo. Saka napakabundok na ito. So dito na tayo, makita mo yan. Parang na-level na natin yung bundok na dito. So dito tayo naka-standby ng magandang restaurant. So may restaurant dito sa pinaka gitna ng bundok or pinakatuktok ng bundok. Ito yung daanan dito. Ayan. Saka may kuwan pala siya dito. restaurant. So tayo yun sa ilalim. Tsaka dito yung pinaka panoramic views. Tsaka ito yung kuha natin. Nakuna na restaurant dito sa gitna ng daan. 1800 pa pala ito. Nandito. Ito yung mga tao dito na silang may-ari. Saka nakuha pa nila dito ng. So dito tayo naka-position. Yan. Sa gitna na o sa tuktok ng bundok. Isa lang siya, may restaurant, saka may hotel yata dito or lodging. Saka sarap yung mga pagkain nila, saka yung beer. At try din natin. Ito yung fjords. Ito yung doon tayo naka-dock yung barko. Tender lang. So nakapka na. Dami ding bus. Meron din ditong bus. Saka dito. Saka may bus din dito. Ayan.
Did you miss me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We missed leaving on time.
So I hope you enjoyed our little stop that we had here at the restaurant. And we'll soon just make a turn and head into the village where the prosciutto and cheese are made. But before that, if we look on your left hand side, you can see that there's a trail that's kind of engraved into the mountain. So, so before this road was built, that's how they used to get to Kotor. So can you imagine the people that had to sell prosciutto and cheese, sometimes even furniture made out of wood and different types. So they would get down, so start from here, go downhill up until they would reach the city walls of Kotor, and then they'd have the 1,500 stairs to get to the town. And imagine a slow day where they wouldn't sell much. They had to drag it all back up. Their warm-up were the 1,500 stairs, and then they'd have to go another 600 meters because the city walls are 280. By the way, there's your cruise ship. There's a ship from here. So nowadays that trail is just used. There are people that hike, but not, of course, it's no longer used for transport the same way that it was used before this road was built. So in comparison, you can see how much of an advancement this road actually was. Well, if we compare it to the trail, there's also a zip line here. You know, it was, I always wanted to try it. It was on my bucket list, and I went to the north of the country. And it's kind of a very deep canyon, the deepest canyon in Europe. And it was beautiful. It was fall, so the colors were magical. But instead of enjoying the view while on the zip line, I got a flashback of my life passing before my eyes. So I crossed that off my list, and I don't plan on repeating that experience ever again. So now we'll turn right, and we'll head into the village of ʻnɛɡroʊ. So we'll chat about the village a little bit, but we're continuing through the village, so we're going straight ahead into the mountain of Lovćen, and you see the sign, cable car. So the upper station of the cable car is in that direction. So now we are at what? Like we are at 900 meters above sea level, roughly about a bit over 930 meters above sea level. That's over 2,000 feet. And this is ʻnɛɡroʊ, so the cheese and prosciutto that we had. This is where it's made. So you can see ruins of some very old houses, and these were traditional. We'll see some more of them. Traditional houses were these low-rise stone houses with very steep roofs. Now these houses, most of the houses we see here now are homes that are owned by people that have roots here, whose families are from here, but not a lot of them actually live here throughout the entire year. So it's kind of vacation homes for people that have roots in this area. We'll go through the central part of the village. There's a little market area there, During summer, not so much during this time of year. There's some traditional restaurants and families that produce prosciutto and cheese. We might even see some cows, so in case you like the cheese, we can wave to them and say thank you. So these houses right here that we have on the left hand side, these low rise houses, these are traditional. These are the oldest ones. And I think when we look around, it's obvious why they prefer to use stone to build. I mean, even George Bernard Shaw, the writer, when he visited Montenegro, he said it was a sea of rocks. He wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. So we see those traditional parts here, and then we're not far away from that central area of the village.
Does it snow a lot here?
It does. It does snow here. However, there are no ski resorts here in this area. If you want to go skiing, we go up to the north. The most mountainous part of the country is the north of the country. Here, this area is known, there's a lot of schools that kind of have, because due to the fact that a royal family used to live here, some will drive past the birthplace of one of the rulers of Montenegro. So there are some parts that are owned by the government when it comes on kind of what used to be residences of royal families. So one of them was later on turned into a hotel. That means that a lot of kids from all over Montenegro get to spend at least a week here throughout the year. So it's when it snows, it's mostly schools that come in, and in January we have a winter break, which is in January. So then families will come here to spend a weekend or a week, and a lot of schools, there will be excursions and trips, because the prices of those trips when you are a student are very symbolic, because you could just get, it's kind of, the government helps, because some of those hotels and restaurants in the area are owned by the government. So that means that it's affordable for all kids from all around Montenegro, and that's something that even I remember growing up at least once or twice a year. Sometimes in May or June there would be a trip up to this mountain, but the one in January happened each year. Okay, so this is the central part of the village, and we see these, when we see Konova, it's a traditional restaurant, so restaurant similar to the one that we just visited. So this is kind of, let's say, the central part of the village. Some people decided not to renovate their homes, and they maybe renovated inside and kept the outside original. Others kind of had to rebuild if it was simply too old. So there's a mix of old and new here. Those cabins over there, everyone always asks me, what are those for? Those are vacation rentals, and they're not as tiny as they seem, because it's for up to 4 people. They're maybe about 50 euro per night. Off season maybe even less, around 30, so it's very, very affordable. And on the valley that we had there, you can see cows there, so probably the cows that gave the milk for the cheese we had. So you can say hi and thank you. And here, this little house on the left hand side, the stone house right by the road, there's a sign that reads Njegoševa rodna kuća, and this is where Petar II Petrović Njegoš, or Peter II Petrović Njegoš, this is where he was born. He was one of the rulers of Montenegro. When we get to Cetinje, we'll talk a lot about the family Petrović Njegoš. I mentioned the king and queen Nikola and Milena before, so they were part of that family, Petrović Njegoš. So we'll talk about them, about the time when they ruled Montenegro once we reach Cetinje. Some of them were born here in this village. Njegoš was one of the rulers. He was the ruler before Prince Nicholas. He was a prince bishop, a title that's unique to Montenegro that we call Vladika. So there's a bit of everything on this mountain. There's historical sites. It's a gastronomical area. There's also a lot of honey harvesting. We see that from here. We see the honey trails. There's honey harvesting. There's a national park here. Beautiful views of the bay. So why is a part of this mountain, why is it a national park? So the mountain of Lovćen, it represents a border between two different climates. The side that we came from, the coast, there's a Mediterranean climate. However, on the other side, the side that we're going towards, there's more of a continental climate. So the mountain Lovćen stands right in between. It's a border between two different climates. And how does that affect the mountain? Nicely, because there's 1,200 different plant species here. Some of them are endemic, so roughly a third of Montenegro's flora can be found on the mountain of Lovćen. So that's why there's an area that's protected by the state. There's a lot of, as I mentioned, because there's honey harvesting, a lot of teas as well. Bad luck, I guess. Or he just decided to stop. I can't decide what's going on. So we see the village from here. We see the valley where ʻneɡroʊ are, and they sometimes call it the Emerald Valley. From here we can see why it's pretty green. The rest we see we see rocks all around, and we understand why George Bernard Shaw said that Montenegro was a sea of rocks. Okay, so I will let you enjoy the view of it. It's changed quite a lot as compared to what we had this morning when we left the port. So we are now well into the mountain of Lovćen, and we're headed towards Cetinje. Then we'll get there in about, let's say, 20-25 minutes. And I'll pick up the microphone again right before we reach Cetinje, but for now, let you digest quite literally and metaphorically all the information that I've given out so far. So we'll talk some more once we approach Cetinje. Thank you.